What's up, guys? Rick Gaiman here, and on this episode of 300 Yards to Unknown, I speak with Spencer Hadelman, CEO of Advantage Marketing and Talon Golf. It's a really interesting conversation about how marketing works for some of these larger, more famous resort courses in the country, like Bandon Dunes, like Sand Valley, places that you might think don't need marketing at all. It's really interesting how that all comes together. And I speak with Spencer about the creation of his apparel brand, Talon Golf, the sweatshirt that I'm wearing literally right now. So very interesting conversation. I'm glad we were able to cover a bunch of different topics, and I hope you enjoy. Let me welcome in Spencer Hadelman, CEO of Advantage Marketing. We're going to figure out what all that means in just 1 second. Fascinating guy you are, Spencer. Thanks for hopping on.
I appreciate the intro. I think fascinating is a great way to put it, and probably some people would agree with that.
We chatted for a couple of minutes last week, and I started to kind of peel back the layers of trying to figure out what's going on in your world, and I'm excited to dive more and more into it. I think our biggest intersection, which is why you're here talking on this podcast, is obviously the golf. So Advantage Marketing, seemingly a company that does everything and anything for a lot of other businesses, but you have carved out an area in kind of the golf course promotion that I've really never knew existed.
Yeah, so our agency are, taking it back a step. Like my whole life, I've been an avid golfer. I played high school golf. I was lettered in varsity 4 years, all conference 3 years. I didn't play D1 in college or anything like that. I had some Division III offers, but I chose to pursue my education at the University of Wisconsin and instead socially enjoy myself, get a good education, and play every Friday when it was 50 degrees or more.
Nice.
And actually their university course there, they host a Champions Tour event now. So it's that Steve Stricker does.
Yeah. Okay.
And University Ridge. So it's a fantastic course up in Madison. But, so then I got into advertising and marketing and had at a previous company had one golf client that's like a national club fitter. And so I'd never worked with the course before. And I started Advantage Marketing in 2015. And, I was lucky enough to have a relationship with the Kaiser family that a lot of people in the golf industry know, as the owners of Bandon Dunes and other properties. And at the same time, as I started Advantage, they were starting Sand Valley in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And, so I came in and had the opportunity to pitch them and on what I would do. To help supplement their efforts and their playbook that they've had before. And, came in with fresh ideas and what I would say are not bad habits that maybe other people in the industry have had and not a fault of their own, just because luckily for me, even though I understand the golf consumer, I understand who they are, how they act and their habits and everything of that nature. I still had a lot of experience with other types of industries and knowledge that I could apply to, escalate golf resort marketing or destination marketing or golf property marketing. And that's what I did. And obviously I think our work at Sand Valley has spoken for itself. And after a few months working there, they asked us to help at Bandon Dunes. And then, now fast forward 5, almost 6 years later, we're working with over 80 properties in the country. Mm-hmm. I bet by next year it'll be closer to 100, 115.
It's really fascinating to me because you named a couple of heavyweights there, right? Bandon Dunes, Sand Valley. I, as a naive outsider looking in, would say, Spencer, they don't need marketing, right? I mean, don't they just open the doors and have every tee time filled up forever? And it's hard. Like describe to me the conversation that happens when you go to some of these premier, whether they're resort courses or destination courses, about if they actually need marketing. I mean, maybe that's the first place to start.
Well, I think we're in this world where part of it's because of COVID, and part of it is whatever it is. I hate using the phrase that there are winners of COVID.
I've said the exact sentence that you're about to say. I feel like I've said this before.
But you know what? I really don't care at this point. You know, my mom's still going to love me if I say that the golf industry is a winner of COVID.
It's been a big winner for sure.
She may not love me as much, but it's okay. And you know, I think at the end of the day, we live in this world where, you know, golf has become a winner. It's become more popular. More people are getting in the game. It's become you know, golf trips, because the majority of the trip is outside, has become okay to do as you know, a destination trip during this horrific time we find ourselves in as a country in the world. And, you know, so I think, you know, obviously now, you know, our capacity and supply at a lot of our top resorts is very limited. And that is a great question of why you would even spend money to invest in marketing. And I think at the end of the day, you know, what we're spending, what we're marketing, I think is, you know, we're not going crazy. Like, we're not like Fortune 500 marketing. And,
right.
But I also would tell any client that is in a position of strength in any industry, not just golf, you should never stop advertising and marketing, even if you don't have the supply, because one, when people call up and say, hey, like, we're booked, you know, it's not, you know, maybe 1%, 2% of people that get that response are going to be upset and turned off by your brand. But more likely 98% of those people are going to be like, oh my God, they're booked. Like, when can I book a year from now? Like,
That's me. That's my response. Yeah.
And that's most golfers' response. Like, most golf consumers are not going to be upset. They'll be disappointed, but they're not going to be upset by your brand if they see your marketing. And I think a lot of our marketing with our high-end resorts is not direct response. You know, we're not doing, you know, packages. We're not doing discount offers, right, you know, or anything like that, where, you know, some other places, when, you know, supply and demand are at a different standstill, may do that. And, you know, I can't really think off the top of my head of any of my clients that do that. Luckily, we're all in a good position, but I do know that some people do that.
I'm sorry, Spencer.
No, and you know, so I think it's okay to market and be out there, and especially when golf resorts and courses that are beautiful, it's okay for people just to get excited to see it and go to your website and be like, wow, that place looks magical. Like, I got to put it on my bucket list. And the value and the return, you know, we'll see over the course of the lifetime value of that customer is a really good investment.
There's something fascinating between the differences between a Bandon Dunes, a Sand Valley, and maybe a nice course that I just live locally towards, right? The course that I play often, I imagine that, 95% of the people that have tee times are local residents within 15 or 30 minutes. This is kind of a whole different ball game when you start saying, we're going to be a destination. We're going to cater to larger groups, the boys trips, the golf trips, the whatever it is. How much of the destination bookings is it for some of these larger, well-known courses?
Well, I think that is what it is. You know, like, I think when there's nothing else in the area, you know, the revenue that we get from customers is the food and beverage, the hotel stays. It's not in the pro shop, you know, the gifting, you know, things of that nature. I mean, it's all included when we're looking at the business model. And, you know, but, you know, Advantage Marketing we work with the courses like you play locally, you know, so we're at this point, like when we first started off, we luckily got an opportunity to go to the top of the premier,
right,
you know, probably two of the premier golf destinations in America as our first two clients in the industry. And then, you know, from there though, like, it's just a different consumer. It's a smaller geographic area you're targeting. You know, the household incomes or the price points may be different. But at the end of the day, like, what I'm doing is just helping grow the game, like getting people to try different courses or getting people to do experiences or, whatever it may be, like you mentioned, like people 15, 30 minutes away, maybe the people who are 20 to 30 minutes away usually play a different course. But if we can get people to try our course, it's a win. So, we try to do it in cost-effective budget ways, but there's a lot of different ways to do it. And, we love doing it. I mean, I think it's awesome to know that we're bringing people to these properties and growing the game and the consumers getting something out of it. I mean, they're probably going to emotionally have ups and downs, but overall, I think that they're getting a good return.
A lot of these places, even if you don't play golf very well while you're there, you're still having a great time. It's still enjoyable. It's still beautiful. You mentioned demographics a little bit there. I imagine that when you're dealing with 80 different courses in different regions, I imagine there's a lot of data that goes into your marketing, whether that is knowing your demographic, how to reach them. I mean, run me through potentially a couple of examples. I mean, if you have an older, more affluent demographic, how are we getting to them? Is that via an ad in Golf Digest? Like, I imagine there are different ways that you're trying to attack your demos here.
Yeah, I mean, our firm, we work with every media company out there, and for the national resorts, we look at national medias to be more efficient, but we also know our core regional markets that we have to invest in as well, to keep the pipeline going. But we try to mix digital, like new age media with, your YouTubes, your Facebooks, your Instagrams, Twitter, with, traditional ones like television, direct mail, print, magazines, podcasts, things like that. And, for us, every client's different. Like, to give you an example, the golf courses that we work with that maybe in theory you'd be like, okay, they have the same consumer as another top end golf destination. But some of our golf resorts are walking only.
Oh, okay.
So, and the goal is a lot of the consumers there are going to play 36 in a day, or at least some of the days of their trip. And so the reality is actually when it's walking only and no carts, you kind of have a much lower ceiling of your core consumer.
Okay.
Are there exceptions? Absolutely. But it's not the same as some other places. And, so a lot of people that want to be in carts and have more of a cart experience, and people in carts are usually drinking alcohol more, like statistically, because they have cup holders and hold their drink.
It's easier.
Yeah, there's just a lot more that goes into it. So like it's a very different ceiling of age, and that's just like a little example of that little difference between different courses where you have to analyze your targeting ceiling and what medias really are your core because of walking versus carts, and that's one example, right? And then some places that are closer to major metropolitan areas, places that have spas versus don't have spas. Like the ones that don't have spas, like you or alternative, you can't really push couple retreats or things like that as much as you can if you have a spa on property. And I'm not trying to like stereotype.
No, I mean, it's so funny because my wife and I, like, it's a lot easier for me to be like, hey, do you want to go to Palm Springs? Because, there's golf and spas there. Like, we could do that. Sure. That would be an easier sell than some of the other places. So like, I'm laughing because I get it. Like, it makes complete sense based on, generalizations of people's behavior, but it makes sense.
Yeah. And then also like, how far people will go. Do you have lodging on site? Do you not? Do you have 18 holes, 36? So all those things like really come into play when we're going through our targeting for all of our properties or any type of client.
With all of this going on, how often do you get to play yourself?
I don't let my career get in the way of my golf game.
Okay, that's fair. So you're hitting the links, I assume, often enough to keep your game in shape. It sounds like
my game. I would be an injustice to my clientele and to myself and to my friends and whatever if I wasn't able to play. And I'd rather play during the afternoon or play in the morning and work at night and catch up on things at night than be tied down to my career. And I think you have to have a good work-life balance to be happy in life, and that's true for everyone and everything.
I imagine hitting the links, having these relationships with some of the more amazing facilities on the planet. I imagine that has kind of put you into some situations where you've been able to tee it up with, I don't know, let me guess, celebrities, athletes, anybody we might know about.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you probably done background research on myself, but yeah, I think I do have a few friends that play professional basketball, but I think that's more like on the friendship side. It wasn't because of I think my relationships with the properties, but they may keep me around as friends just because of that. But I'd have to ask them. But no, I mean, I think it's always a great conversation starter, and it's nice anytime you get put in social settings and you're having to make small talk with the boyfriend or husband of the girls or whatever it is. And they play golf. It really like makes those awkward social settings go by quickly.
Yeah.
I think if Larry David had my career, he would probably be better off with his role in Curb Your Enthusiasm. But it's I don't know. It's lucky. I mean, I'm so lucky to be in this position and get to play these courses and have relationships with the general managers and the owners and the management companies and the people who really make visions come to life, and it's just my job to bring the customers to their vision. But when they have done such a great job with visions and properties and everything, like for me it's just so lucky, and I'm blessed to be able to do it.
Yeah, I found that everyone or a lot of people are golf adjacent, whether they play often or not. Like it's athletes are golf, or other athletes are golf adjacent. People in business, people in all walks of life are kind of golf adjacent, and it's this kind of one thing that we're able to tie together. And it never ceases to amaze me how many different types of people are enjoying our game. Really, is kind of the way I look at it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always funny to see like really successful, lawyers or doctors or professional athletes or whoever who have just mastered their field and be a 18-20 handicap and just keep grinding at the range, and it's just, or whatever maybe. And once they get the bug, it's as addictive of anything in the world, to be honest.
Yeah, you can. I'll echo that sentiment as well. We talked about advantage marketing here, but I want to dive into something a little bit different. I'm wearing my Talon Golf sweatshirt here. I can easily say it is the most comfortable sweatshirt I've ever worn. This is also a brand of yours, Spencer. We were chatting a couple of days ago, and you were describing kind of some of these offshoot brands that you might be overseeing. Can you kind of just lay out a little bit of a web, and like where does Talon Golf, this apparel company, fit into the mix?
Yeah, so I at any point I have an entrepreneurial spirit, and I started Advantage 2015, and you get to a point in anyone's life, in anyone's career where, you don't want to get stale. You don't want to get bored. You want to like keep everything moving and forward and everything of that nature. And, so for me, it was, how, as a marketing firm, do we evolve? Like, how do we become different? And, we have a lot of obviously golf clients. We have a lot of e-commerce clients that are not golf related. Some are golf related, but not a lot. And we have a lot of other types of businesses, legal and higher education and real estate and, things, and then a whole potpourri of other types of businesses. And, so we kind of, I'll just say came up with the hypothesis that, like, what if we had our own e-commerce companies that we ran out of Advantage Marketing? And so we bought a watch company called Volin a little over a year ago to kind of test out the hypothesis. It was kind of like a distressed asset. It was an e-commerce brand that was going to go out of business. And we bought it and kind of built the brand up, and went through the inventory that we acquired, and then decided, we found someone who, as we built it up, wanted to buy the company. So we held it for about a year, and it was more to test out this theory. And at the same time, parallel, we started Talon inside Advantage, to run, in theory, through our marketing firm, but without actual employees of Talon. Like, all the efforts of the marketing firm are just like it would be a normal client. Right. And that's really how we did it, and how we want to be different, and how we're able to, the core main product is the gloves. And the gloves are, for me, I go through gloves a lot. I hate paying $30, $25 for a glove, and I would wear Kirkland gloves, which, for me, got the job done. But, I was also in positions where I would be entertained or entertaining, and, like some people in business, kind of like, because of people identify in golf different logos, would look down, if I have very expensive clubs, but I'm wearing a Kirkland, and I'm taking them to my country club, but I'm wearing a Kirkland logo. It's like, who is this guy? I don't get it. But, so I had a moment, and I was playing with Golf Digest at Bel Air Country Club, and I was wearing a Kirkland logo, and I'm like, God, this doesn't fit. This is weird. And so, I felt, I kind of looked into it, researched it, and decided to start a brand. And I wanted to create a cool logo that people would like. And, the other thing I found is, like, so the gloves are the main product, and because we don't have any employees, we don't have any overhead, we're able to, like, provide a really quality product at a low price. And that's what the goal is. And that's what we want the gloves to be. And that's how it came to be.
The gloves are awesome as well. Why is the glove the main product? I have a theory in my brain, but why the glove over something else?
So, I mean, that even goes back to, like, why we didn't want to hold on to the watch company, is because we know we're, like, because of our marketing background and as a company, and the questions that I would ask a client if I was at Advantage asking this, whoever started Talon, if it wasn't me, I would ask the same question, or Volin or company A, B, C, is what is the lifetime value of acquiring a new customer? And, the reality is that, like, with a watch, even if they like the watch, they're going to buy one watch and that's it. They may gift one down the road or whatever, but, to do it right, then I'd have to invest a lot into new products and SKUs and even more marketing, where it may not even be worth it in the long run, because there's no real barrier to entry. But with this, like, I don't think many other brands will be able to have a business model that we have, where we have such lower overhead, where that's kind of how we can keep our price point low.
Right.
And with gloves, if people like a glove, they're going to keep buying it. and that's
Forever.
it. So,
yeah, loyal forever.
our site went live June 1st. I can tell you there's a guy in Michigan. I don't know his name, but since June 1st, he's bought 3 10-packs of our glove.
He's stocking up.
Right, but he lives in a cold climate. So, like, I don't know this guy, and I really appreciate this guy, but he may be someone who, like, is like, I want a new glove every time I play, which if at our prices of a 10-pack, a 10-pack is going to come out to, I don't know, $8, $9, $10 a glove, whatever, depending on seasonality. But, for that versus like the same quality as a $20 glove or, maybe he's like, you know what, that's fine. And it's better than some of the crap products that are being sold on Amazon or that are not true Cabretta leather, and I know like that our product, as a new product, like has room for improvement. I'd be naive to say that, but for where we are and not having experience manufacturing gloves and that, I think we're getting enough feedback where I'm very encouraged that we're on the right path and we're doing something right. And why we rolled out like the hoodies and the t-shirts and other stuff that is like not on course apparel. Like, I mean, people wear the beanies and the hats on the course because, they like it and whatever, they like the logo. But we just found with a lot of our, and this is, going back to the crossovers, is that when you go in the pro shops of a lot of our resort clients, we've just noticed over the last couple of years, a lot of the shift in the buyers in the pro shops are shifting away from your regular quarter zips, your polos, things like that. And they're carrying more just comfy t-shirts and hoodies and stuff that people are like, you know what, I'm not going to wear a golf outfit every day, but I really like this golf logo. I want to wear it to walk to the gym. I want to wear it doing errands. I want to do whatever. So that's why we've come out with these hoodies and these really soft t-shirts and things like that, because people like our Eagle logo and they want to rep it and it's different and they want to be comfortable.
Yeah, gloves are fascinating because really gloves and golf balls, those are the two things that I'm expecting to replace fairly often, right? Yeah. I mean, I have my clubs custom fit. That's going to last me a while. I've got my shirt. I can wear that. I don't know how many times, but I like new gloves and I like changing them up often.
Yeah. And I think, like, to give you an example, like from a marketing perspective, and I don't like to like talk poorly about other brands, but I'll give you an example of like Vice, right? Like, so Vice is like gloves that they rolled out after their balls are probably a similar price point. Mm-hmm. But whoever is in charge of marketing at Vice, and I don't know this person, I have no clue. I don't know, but they obviously did really well in terms of like finding customers and selling their golf balls and everything like that. Like, so I'm giving them credit to a degree of but one of the problems that they did is they used the word cheap when they were talking about their balls. And that sounds weird. But when they did that, and so people would be like, oh, it's like, they were saying like, oh, it's the same quality as Pro V, it's cheap, whatever.
Yeah.
The problem is when you use the word cheap, then their brand is now forever associated with cheap. And so the balls or whatever, they're like, I don't care. I'm going to hit balls in the water. I'm going to lose balls. I'm a bad golfer. I don't want to spend $50 on Pro Vs. Like, I get that. But the issue is now every time someone sees the Vice logo, they associate it with that person being cheap. Like, so no one wants to be like, even if you like the Vice logo, you're like, I don't want to wear a Vice hat. I don't want to wear a Vice glove. I don't want to wear a Vice shirt. Like, because that associates me versus like being like a conscious golf consumer, because I know I'm going to lose a bunch of balls and I can play a baseball. And it's, if they had just changed it and said value instead of cheap, their brand is so much different.
Which is probably...
That's what we're trying to do. And we're never going to do golf balls. I'll sit here and tell you that. Like, we're not going to. But I want people, like I tell people this, and there might even be language on the Talon website that says this, and I don't know if it's on there, but it was like, I'm like, I want you to not spend a lot of money in your gloves so you can spend it on new clubs and going to play great courses and lessons. And like, the same value, go buy our glove for $10 that you would have spent for, $25-$30. And over the course of, it's a couple $100 over the course of a year.
The difference between value and cheap is probably trying to convey the same message. However, one with a negative connotation, and the other makes you feel like you're getting a deal, you're getting a value. Makes a lot of sense. I'll leave you with this, Spencer, because we'll tie this all together.
Well, the best, just real quick, the best, like if we were in business school, teaching business school, like if you like, whether it's Vice and Talon Golf or whatever you want to say, the best one example would be like Spirit Airlines for Southwest Airlines. Like if Southwest was always like, we're the best value and they have low fares.
Right.
And Spirit's like, we're cheap, but then we're going to kill you and all these weird
Spirit's like, we'll get you there. We'll get you there.
So, it's really like, that's a great example of like, branding and the difference of like, the stigma and everything like that.
Is it cool to be playing with someone, they see the glove, they say, what logo is that? And you say, oh, that's my company. That's my golf company. Has that happened? Is that cool?
Yeah, it has happened many times. I guess that goes back to how often I play. It's cool. I mean, I think it's I don't know. Some people would probably say I have an ego, but I don't think I have an ego like that. But it's like, to me, it's like more interesting. Like it's more like I get excited to tell them why I'm doing it, more than just to say, yeah, it's my company. Like I don't ever take a step back in anything I do. Like with Advantage, with Talon, with any other ventures I have in my life. I never, like, I'm just in it. So I never like take a step back and think about it. It's more like, yeah, like I saw a hole in the market. I saw a problem and I went out and just like said, let's just do it. Like it wasn't like, oh, I've been thinking about this for 2 years, 3 years. It was like, I don't know. It was like 6 months after I had the idea, our website was live to buy stuff on, so it's not like I'm a person who wants to like sit around and dilly-dally and wait. It's like, if there's a good idea, I would tell anyone, like, if you have an idea, don't wait around for someone else to take it.
I love it. That is Spencer Hadelman, CEO of Advantage Marketing, also Talon Golf. Spencer, really appreciate it. Again, I'll do the plugging so that you don't have to. This sweatshirt is unbelievable. The gloves are unbelievable. I'm very much enjoying them, and I very much enjoyed this conversation. So thank you.
Thanks for having me, Rick. And if you ever need me again, just please let me know.
I appreciate it.